Castlevania is a long-running and well-respected series, and I like it. I don't have every game for Castlevania, or all the merchandise of course, but I do have quite a few things. I haven't been actively collecting Castlevania, I just like it, and this is what I've come up with over the years simply because I've bought what has caught my interest. Oh, and these posters of course. Being a fan of Castlevania, I was stoked to hear about the 3DS release. Well, I've played it, beaten it, and now I thought I'd share my thoughts with you. If you're looking for a review of someone trashing this game, look elsewhere. I'll give you my honest opinion, but up front, know that I'm a fan of the series, and I focus more on the good things rather than the bad. In the end, I'll know the things that could have been better with the game. In this review, we'll be taking a look at the gameplay, storyline, art design, and music. With that being said, let's take a pause break and check out Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate for the Nintendo 3DS. Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate was announced in May of 2012 for a fall 2012 release. The company, Mercury Steam, the same company that made Lords of Shadow, was not satisfied with the quality of the game and thus delayed it until March of 2013. Was it worth the wait? Well, let's take a look. First off, let's take a look at the gameplay. The real treat of this game is the gameplay in general, but specifically the platforming. I enjoyed every bit of platforming in the game, hanging from ledges, swinging by a chain, jumping chasms. It's all a great deal of fun. The controls are as responsive as they can be with a circle pad. I for one would rather be able to use the directional buttons instead of the circle pad. I mean, it works, but trying to double tap a direction to run faster as Trevor is really tough on a circle pad. If you've played Lords of Shadow for the PS3 or Xbox 360, or God of War, or Dante's Inferno, just imagine if that action-type gameplay was officially transitioned into a 2.5D plane. That's exactly what you get with Castlevania Lords of Shadow Mirror of Fate. In all honesty, I think I would have rather played Lords of Shadow in this 2.5D world. I feel that it seamlessly blends the gameplay of the 2D Castlevanias with Mercury Steam's new take on the series. The end product is varied gameplay that includes platforming, puzzles, and non-stop button mashing action. In combat, you end up using a combination of heavy and light attacks while dodging when necessary. That's another comment I should make. If you're turned off by button mashers like God of War, then you might not like this game. I happen to think it's quite enjoyable though. There is a leveling system in the game, but you don't get any stronger in the sense of hitting harder, you simply unlock new combos to use in combat. I felt no desire to grind to the max level once I figured this out. In other words, the level system feels a bit tacked on. It's not necessary in the least. The story is another major draw for me. Actually, it was the biggest draw for me. I've been playing Castlevania for a long time, and the story of the series really interests me. When people think vampires, they may think this, or this, but I think this. The Dracula origin story from the Castlevania series is one of my favorite vampire stories. As a matter of fact, it may be my favorite vampire story ever. Sorry, Bram Stoker. In the story, you play as Gabriel from Lords of Shadow, Simon Belmont, Trevor Belmont, and Alucard. Yep, that Alucard. It's great to see the son of Dracula in a game again. I think because I enjoyed Symphony of the Night so much, I enjoyed playing through Alucard's part in the story the most. He generally plays like the other characters, but there are subtle vampire power differences that change it enough to make it a more unique experience. The story in this game is epic. To avoid spoilers, I'll simply say that you get the origin story for Trevor, Richter, Alucard, and of course, we should all know Gabriel's by now. If you're a fan of Castlevania lore, this game is an absolute must. The art design is really neat in this game. I was impressed with the distinction of each area. The areas basically pay homage to Dracula's castle, but also bring about newer areas like underground tunnels and a carnival-like area. The game looks great on the 3DS. I'm really impressed with how detailed the graphics are in the game. The cutscenes look really impressive as well in a sort of gothic, cel-shaded comic sketch style. Here is a criticism I have of the game though. Why don't the characters' mouths move appropriately? I guess I can see what they were going for here, but I think if they would have simply not had the characters' mouths move at all, it would have looked better. I know I said I enjoyed the cutscenes, but I have another complaint. Why does Alucard look so distraught? I guess this is their attempt at giving him some depth, but I think I honestly would rather have the D-esque Alucard from Symphony of the Night. I mean, I guess this is long before the Symphony of the Night setting, so maybe he becomes a stone-hearted bastard later down the road. Well, finally, let's talk about music, or the lack thereof. Well, I guess that's unfair to say, but there is seriously nothing memorable in this game music-wise. Just like Lords of Shadow, the background noise is mostly ambiance. The sound effects are incredible, and the ambiance is neat, but when I play Castlevania, man, I want to rock. Castlevania needs to be my Zumba class of kicking ass. But seriously, the Castlevania series has brought us a ton of great music over the years, but this game totally suffers in the music department. I suppose if I considered this game as a wholly contained entity, then the music wouldn't bother me, but because of all the greatness with the Castlevania name attached to it, I expected more. There is a feature in the game that I thought was notable and awesome. It's a feature I'd love to see in more games. You can drag and place a symbol anywhere on the map, and then you can actually make a note on it using the keypad. For a game with a lot of exploration, this is incredible. You can note areas that you can't currently get to because of item limitations, and then check the map later to see what you've missed. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. On another note, you can go back and play any chapter at any point and explore the rest of the dungeon. I finished the game in a little under 9 hours, and I imagine it wouldn't take but 10 or 11 hours to get 100% completion. Honestly, I feel like the game gets bonus points for me here. My video game career started with the NES, and at one point I could put a ton of man hours in games, but as I've gotten older, responsibility has forced me to pretty much avoid lengthy games. I feel this game was wonderfully paced at the 8 hours it took me. If I would have put any more time in, I may have grown tired, so Mercury Steam, way to know when to stop. Good job. So in the end, how can I sum it up? If you're a fan of Castlevania, or the Castlevania reboot, or 2.5D action platforming, then you should check this out. I don't think you'll be disappointed. However, if you're looking for the next Symphony of the Night, I wouldn't hold my breath. Well, thanks again for watching Pause Break, and we'll see you next time.